Good morning, good afternoon, or whenever it is that you are accessing this video. Today's topic is called Enharmonics, and that's just a fancy musical term that means when the same note has two different names. And this has happened, this is a topic that we talk about because in band, you may see a note that you think is unfamiliar, a note that you may not know the fingering or the slide position for, and it can be confusing. However, especially by the time that you are an eighth grader in band, you pretty much know how to play every single note on your instrument. You just do not know all of the names for those notes. And this is a lot of review with the same piano keys sheet that we have been using. But when we focus on this particular topic, hopefully you will see that the notes that seemed foreign to you are actually not. And this video will help reinforce some of the things that we have already talked about and prepare you for the assignment that will be linked to this lesson. So, with your piano keys sheet, you should have everything properly labeled. And I always start on a blank one. But you can see the names of all of the notes here. And the next quiz you take on this particular topic will ask you what particular note is called, or rather, what is another name for any particular note that we ask for. So I'm going to start with everyone's favorite note, and that is a B flat, good old familiar B flat. And honestly, you probably will not see a B flat called by its other name in much of the high school music, definitely not in middle school music, but you might, and it may come up, and you should know what that note is by its other name. So if you are asked what is another name for a B flat, you can simply look at the B flat on your piano key sheet, the note right below B. And the note right below B is, of course, the same as the note right above A. So the answer is A sharp. So that is pretty straightforward. We'll just go over a few more examples, but if you're using your piano keys sheet while you take the quiz, then it's pretty much the same as just looking at the answer right there in front of you. You are encouraged to do that. None of these quizzes are things that you should necessarily have to memorize. They are all assessments where you are asked to use the resource, use the piano key sheet, and learn how to figure these things out for yourself. And eventually, if you use that piano key sheet while you're taking the quizzes and moving forward to while you are playing your own band music, eventually you start to memorize these sort of similarities. So, moving on down to the bottom of the page, I'm going to ask you about C sharp and say what note or what other name is C sharp known as? What is another name we can call that note? So we can find C sharp as the note right above C, and it's also the note right below D. So the answer is D flat. Let me ask you about F sharp. F sharp is a note that saxophones see pretty often. It's a note that trumpet players see pretty often. But you may see it as its other name. And what other name is that? You look at your F sharp, it's the note right above F. It is also the note right below G. And F sharp is also a G flat. Now, the quiz and this particular lesson will ask you about a couple of tricky examples. And some of you probably know where this is going because we've had this discussion in class a couple of times. But at this point, I'm going to ask you about a B sharp. What is the enharmonic equivalent of B sharp? So, to figure that out, we're going to look at B. And B sharp, I guess by definition, is just the note that is one half step above a B. And usually that's a black key. And on the piano, in this particular case, it's a white key. So a B sharp, by another name, is simply a C natural. And this is the point where you may ask, are there B sharps in music? And yes, sometimes they are. They are rare, but sometimes they need to be put in music written as a B sharp, and you'll have to read it and figure it out and know it by its more common name. Let me ask about F flat. What is F flat's other name? So you can look at F, look at the note a half step below F, and again, it's not a black key, so we're just going to give it its white key name. It is just an E natural. So the assignment that you have based on this lesson will just ask you to give the other name for the note that is given to you. And you'll just have to figure that out using your piano key sheet. Should be just as easy as just reading it off the page if you have labeled your piano key sheet correctly. Again, I'm always available for questions, so let me know if you need any extra help. But until then, hope I see you soon and stay classy.